Hey,
Little uneven.
welcome to Cambridge Inside Out. I'm Robert Winters,
Judy Nathans.
and today is May 14th, 2019.
Yeah, 2019. It's like time is flying by,
Time
right?
is flying by.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oops.
So I have a birthday tomorrow.
Oh
So
no,
it
you
becomes-
do?
Oh,
It was
yeah.
just yesterday I said happy birthday to you.
Yeah, yeah.
Where is time
Close
going?
enough. Where
Oh
is
my
time?
gosh.
It's flying by.
This isn't, you're still not quite at the Medicare age, right?
Not quite.
But
Not
oh
quite.
wait, almost.
Getting there, getting there.
Yes.
All I know is the Beatles once wrote a song about.
Oh, we talked about this.
Yes.
Never mind. I'm getting confused with people like, oh yeah.
All right.
Okay.
So anyway, I think we probably should just mention right off the top.
Yeah.
It was sort
If
of
you
a
haven't heard, which.
pretty big announcement for
Yeah.
those who are not totally plugged into the political
Yeah.
end of things.
Right.
We got, of the incumbent city councils, we had one person today,
Mm-hmm.
let it be known that she was in fact
Yeah.
not going to seek re-election this
Right.
year. That's Vice Mayor Jan Devereux.
Right.
And I'm usually pretty intuitive about these things.
Yeah.
I never saw it coming.
No,
I
I
mean,
mean,
you know,
I don't think. I mean, it makes sense
it
in
makes
some
sense
ways for
afterwards,
what you
but-
said, but yeah.
Yeah, I actually have a lot of respect for people who decide that, there are other
Go
reasons.
out on
you
top,
gotta,
like Jerry Seinfeld.
yeah, listen, I remember when Kathy Bourne, she served, I
Oh,
think,
right.
5 terms, and then
5
she said,
terms?
"Oh, I've put in a good 10
Okay.
years here. I want to move on," and then she
Yeah.
did. And then she went on, doing other things, and now she's actually the
And redevelopment,
chair of the
or-
Cambridge
yeah.
Redevelopment Authority. But that happened some years later.
Right.
She just decided, that,
Yeah.
she put in her time, and this
Right.
doesn't define her. There are other things, and she
And
did.
every 2 years having to raise money and all that.
Yeah, though I'm not so sure that the money is the real deal breaker with most of these folks. It's not like
Well, but
Congress, U.S. Congress. That's a
No,
whole
it
other
isn't, but
story.
compared to like 10, 15 years ago, you have to raise more money and be more out there. I mean, there
Yeah.
is social media, which they didn't necessarily use as much. That's true.
I mean, I would say
Yeah.
somebody like Jan Devereux probably would have been able to generate more than enough
Well,
money
she
to run a
raised-
successful campaign.
True, yeah. No, I'm not
But-
saying that was the reason. I'm just
yeah,
saying for
yeah.
some people it would be.
I think that she said in her
Yeah.
note.
Yeah.
Actually,
It's
might as
right
well
here,
sort of
yeah.
show the note here, right?
Yeah.
The announcement from
Yeah,
Vice
right
Mayor
there.
Devereux, and basically making it pretty clear it was a,
Yeah.
just a personal decision. There are
Yeah.
other things to do, take care of your family,
Right.
do that. She's going out, saying did good things. I'm very
And
proud
she'll
of what I
continue.
did.
She has 7 months left.
And that's
And
right.
it's nice to be able to run without having to deal with how's this going to, I don't know if she thought that way, but a lot of people, how's this going to affect my constituency? If I go vote this, she's going to do anything she wants,
That's true. Yeah. So anyway, we'll see. I guess not that one should immediately start thinking strategically, because it's
Right.
just an interesting development.
Yeah.
But does this mean other candidates are going to start jumping in because now they're going to
Who
say
benefits, would you say?
You know-
out of the existing.
of the existing
I
ones?
guess Clinton a little, but they're real different.
The
I
thing
think.
is you got to really look at it from
Yeah.
neighborhood. You got to
True.
look at it from gender. That was an
Gender.
issue.
Right, but
certainly.
there are 4 women.
Right,
There were.
right.
But that's true. We want to keep another woman,
right,
maybe.
but that was an issue in the 2017 election.
That's
Let's
true.
elect more women.
You're right. And
Maybe
they
it's
did.
not
They
as
got 2
burning
more.
an issue now,
True.
but the thing is, it'll certainly affect
That's
how
true.
people make decisions. Does it mean that a woman challenger would fare better? Could be, not
Do
necessarily.
you think there'll be any other incumbents that step down?
I don't know. I wouldn't speculate too much.
Yeah.
I know that there are some of the incumbents who've been around for a while who every 2 years they think about it and they talk
Yeah.
about it, but then often they'll continue to run for a re-election anyway. Could happen. I've sort of learned not to predict too much about these things, but it is a very big development, I think, in the great grand scheme of things.
Well, interesting. Out of the candidates that have announced that on your list, there's 2 women, 1 woman of color who's been,
Right.
she's Nicola Williams.
That's right.
and
that's right.
has been a long time Cambridge resident
Yes.
and community person. So
She
she
could
could
stand
mount
and pick
a
up
good
some
challenge.
support.
Yeah, right.
Absolutely. So we'll see how it shakes out. I don't know if I mentioned one of the new candidates. Did I mention last week?
Yeah,
Burhan
Ben,
Azim actually came and visited me.
right,
That was
he's like
kinda
what,
interesting.
20,
22.
19,
22 years old,
okay.
yeah. So anyway, it'll be interesting.
Yeah.
Some elections are defined by issues. Some are defined by just
Yeah.
constituencies. I don't really know what this one's going to
Well,
be yet.
I think The Green New Deal, which is a national thing, is going to definitely, that's very effective here. And
Well, if you're somebody like Quentin Zondervan, you are definitely, your appeal is largely going to be defined
and that
on
always
that
has
issue.
been. So,
Yes.
and then you have the bikes, and then you have the,
Right.
you know.
Yeah. I was starting
Oh,
to get a
boy.
little hint of what they were talking about last night at City
Yeah,
Council meeting.
the
I mean, I'm not going
quick
up that much, but
builds.
I watched a little
Me
bit of the videotape afterwards.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think there are some councilors would like nothing more than to have another bike controversy this year because it brings out.
Oh, like
Yeah.
the different.
Yeah, all right, so remember 2 years ago, it was about the Brattle Street or the Cambridge
Yeah.
Street bike lanes, whatever, so will
And
this
that
year?
they didn't pay attention to the businesses. I'll say the same thing about the other policy order, which we'll go into another time, on the single-use plastics.
Right.
Again, although this policy order does also include, and gives enough time to look at, let's reach out to.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Recycling
I made,
advisory committee, stakeholders.
yeah, I was
Denise
in,
mentioned this about businesses.
yeah, in my snarky comments
Yeah.
on that one, I was
Oh.
basically saying, I hope this time, just really, I will trust that the Recycling Advisory Committee will do their due diligence.
Yes.
And I
And
hope that the
they-
city
yes.
councilors in whatever committees on whichever environment or
Right.
whatever actually pay close attention and
Yes.
try and understand the bigger picture.
Right, and it's not going to be voted on or whatever you want to call it
Hopefully
before the end of the year. So
will not
it
be
should
a
not be
quick
an
one.
election year
Yeah, no,
issue.
No, it shouldn't be. Yeah,
But
but anyway, we'll see how it shapes up.
Yeah,
you
that'd
know.
be very
I mean,
interesting.
Will it all be about housing? Will it be housing and
Well,
bikes, or
it's
housing,
always
bikes, and
housing.
cannabis? Right?
don't
Yeah.
get me started.
Don't get me started. Actually,
Oh, did you read that Evergood, which has been lacking?
the Evergood Market.
There's a meeting. I guess it was last night.
Yeah, there's a lot of
There's a lot of meetings going on at
Yeah,
all these
yeah.
potential places.
it's interesting. On the Central Square Advisory Committee,
Yeah.
we had 3 items of business at our meeting
It
last
was all
week.
cannabis.
No.
Oh,
It was candy, cannabis, and cannabis.
candy.
I think that's the wrong order. It's supposed to be cannabis, then candy, right?
All right, what was the candy one? Somebody
Well,
wants to make
Cambridge
candy?
Brands, the makers of Tootsie Rolls and
You
some
mean the
fine
old-
products.
The ones that used to own the plant down the street?
They still do, and they still
Oh.
operate, and they're one
Okay.
of our great neighbors. In
Oh, wait a
fact-
minute, I thought they moved the whole operation, then it got closed down.
No, you're thinking of New England Confectionery Company.
Totally
Necco.
different. So where is
Necco moved
Cambridge
to Revere.
Brands?
It's
Squirrel.
on Main Street.
Oh,
Faces
yes,
on Main
okay.
Street. And
Okay.
it's when you go down there. I mean, anybody who's ever been
You mean
affiliated.
you can smell it still?
Yes. Oh my goodness.
I'm really confused. I thought it was coming
There
from
was
the Necco
peppermint
place.
Oh
my
no, Necco
goodness.
is biotech now.
How do they survive there?
They make good products, and they ship.
I
They
know-
have trucks coming in,
I
coming out.
never noticed it. You never
they
would
run
know.
They run a great
Except for the
operation, and I will tell you, whenever they have a public meeting, because in this case, they need to put an addition on for electrical
Yeah.
reasons, and pretty basic electrical reasons, but they're doing some reconfigurations. But whenever they come to a meeting, they're wonderful. They always bring goodie bags of
Okay, but what? All right, I need
Tootsie
to know. I
Rolls
think this is an
Junior Mints.
People don't. Oh, come on! You're telling me that undisclosed, whatever
That's
small
where they make
place
the Junior Mints
for the world?
for the world.
No, I can't believe
Tootsie
that.
Rolls.
There's not that
Junior
many buildings
Mints.
there. No.
It's one building.
And how many employees do they have?
I don't know how many, but it's a good number of employees. They run multiple shifts, and they
You're
bring in big
kidding.
tractor trailers every day. There are tanker trucks come in with sugary
Wait,
substances.
where on Main Street? Wayne and what?
Main. I can actually see it from right now. It's right past the U-Haul on Main.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
Yeah.
that's why I got it confused with
Oh, yeah.
Necco, because they're in the same neighborhood.
Well,
so the
Cambridge
smell.
used
Necco
to be
used
the
to have-
candy center of the world.
That's amazing.
And now the last lone candy manufacturer.
So
in
they
Cambridge
must
is
own their building or
Cambridge
something.
Brands.
Somebody,
Yes.
but I'm surprised it's not like banks that keep getting sold to bigger banks. How do they retain their ownership in this? Or who owns
I
it?
think they're part of
It could be a bigger
bigger
conglomerate.
company, but
Yeah.
the thing is that
That's
this is
amazing
this
that
is
they
a
stay
treasured
here.
part of the business, and
I love
no,
that.
I love the fact that they're staying here, and I have to say, because I've been interacting with them now in multiple couple
Okay,
of
you
years
know
now.
what? Let's do a
They're
little
great.
story on them more
We should really do
completely.
that.
I really would love
Yeah.
to hear more about that, and
yeah.
maybe with photos.
Yeah, oh
A
yeah,
historical dive.
yeah, and
right.
I'll tell you which of my favorite candies too.
Well, Junior, I
You'll
was
see
just
that.
going to buy
Junior
some
Mints,
Junior.
can't beat them.
Yeah, my daughter likes it. And
ones as
Tootsie
well.
Rolls?
They make Tootsie Rolls too.
Junior
Oh, yeah.
Mints Tootsie Rolls.
Yeah, and some other really fine products.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, oh yeah. I love it, the fact it's coming right out of Cambridge too.
So they were on the agenda because they want to do some work.
They
or-
they need approvals because of actually it's a pretty modest extension, but they
Yeah.
have to get a curb cut. They have to change the way they're going to bring in
I
some
sure
trucks.
hope nobody objects to this. First of all,
I
it's a
don't think they
very
would.
industrial area. I mean, there are,
No, I think they'll be fine.
and they're a treasured.
They are a treasured
Thank you for
neighbor.
telling
Honestly,
me about that.
to
I'd
me,
rather s-
having a real industrial
Yes.
interest really
Ex-
helps round
And
out
you know
Central
what?
Square.
I don't think people know.
A lot of people don't, and they're not very showy. There's just a nice
No.
modest sign that has kind of the colors of a Tootsie Roll. It just says Cambridge Brands, and they've been there
Unbelievable.
forever. Yeah. So anyway, we love them as neighbors.
I wish we had more candy stores than cannabis.
You're right. So the second
so
and
the
third
other-
items
yeah.
were two different interests who want to
Uh-huh.
open up cannabis outlets, which would make a total of 3 within sight
On
of each
Mass
other
Ave.
in Central Square,
Oh my
very
God.
close to the corner of Pearl Street.
And that can be
and
allowed
Norfolk.
by the ordinance or by the.
You know,
the
there's a little
language.
bit of interpretation. Certainly,
Yeah.
Revolutionary Clinics already got their okay, and they're building out the building at Norfolk and Mass Ave, the old Blockbuster site, which was also
Right,
the,
that one I know about, and
the,
that will be medical and recreational.
They made
They
no
already
secret.
have medical out in North Cambridge, right?
Right. Well, they're the one of the
They're the big
suppliers.
suppliers, yeah.
So the thing is
Yeah.
so they'll be opening, but the thing is, if you are opening as a medical marijuana dispensary, you can also, pretty much as of right, you have to go through the process, but
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
you can also then add on adult use or
Well, it
recreational
seems to me,
marijuana.
keep it in one place. That makes sense to me.
So-
If you're going to have it at all.
Yeah, so
yeah.
they'll have that, and then meanwhile,
Meanwhile.
pretty much across the street where the old Harvest site was,
Yeah.
that is a group, and it was Sean Hope's group
Yeah,
was wanting to open that up as a pure adult use marijuana outlet. And I can't remember. I always get confused. There's the social equity
Right, and then the economic
applicants, and then the
empowerment.
economic empowerment.
Yeah. Now, they don't come under that, though, do they?
They're either
Or
one
any
or
of
the
these
other.
3 come under that? Oh, they
Yes,
are?
those 2 are because
Oh,
normally
okay.
if they were just mainstream ones, they wouldn't be permitted within 1,800 feet of each other.
Oh, I
But
see what you're
because of
saying.
these exceptions,
So there's 2 that come under that.
right now the question is, can you have both of them, which would make a total
Right.
of 3?
I would
It's
think
possible
not.
that maybe there'll be just one of the 2.
That makes more
Right.
sense.
It was an interesting experience going to the
Yeah.
meeting. I mean, they were all decent people, but the thing is, they're trying to sell themselves as I'm more of a social equity. I'm more rooted in the community, but it's a little kind of political connection too. Seems to be a piece
Don't
of
you have to have
this.
some bona fides to be the economic? I mean, you have to have actually people of color, all that.
Yes, you have to meet. There's a list
Yeah,
of criteria,
guideline,
so
right.
they basically part of their sales pitches.
Yeah.
They have to justify.
And they were
why
able
they-
to do that.
For the most part, yeah. So will you end up with 3, right? Because honestly, that's the
Oh.
biggest concern with some of
Oh,
us.
Central Square, give
It's
me
gonna,
a
you're gonna.
break.
I mean, we can tolerate things. We have liquor stores, whatever. But
Well,
do you
that's
wanna
because we
define-
have so many, because we have so many
Right.
liquor. That's what I
But
heard. Yeah.
do we? I think Cambridge must have under the state law because of the number of liquor stores we have
We
has
have
to have.
39 liquor stores, which
So
means we
we'll
could have
have
up to
8.
9
Is
or
it
8 or 9. Yeah, that's
8 or
what
9
Lisa Peterson.
citywide. But the thing is, there
School
already
me
are
on
some around town, and
Yeah.
there will be, or at least some are permitted to open around town.
Right.
But there is a real flood coming in.
It's like, to me, it's like, really? Are you going to make this much money from
Well,
that stuff?
Well, the thing is the other one, which was our third item of the
Yeah.
night at the Central
Yeah.
Square Advisory Committee
Yeah.
meeting, was in the central kitchen space, right next to Graffiti Alley.
Exactly.
So, so these are, again, it's up to the business owners whether they want to continue their business or not.
The
I
central
think,
kitchen is going away.
well, I think the chef they'll still operate the
Uh-huh.
enormous room, as they call it, right upstairs.
Yeah.
But the central kitchen at street level would become
Okay.
a medical.
There's also a back in the back. There's some kind of little kitchen too that used to sell
Yeah,
Indian food. I don't
yeah.
know if that's part of it. But,
Not sure.
oh dear.
But the thing is do you really want to have 3 right in within a sight of each other? I'm not so sure that's the greatest thing. But we'll see how it shakes out. Our role is pretty much just to sort of get a little
Your
bit of
advisory
we talk
means
a
you
little
have
bit.
no. You have
I don't
no
think we have.
voting power.
We actually do on certain things,
Really?
like for example, formula business stuff. We have some authority,
Really?
but primarily that's a relatively new addition to our
Okay.
mandate. But
Yeah.
for the most part, and there were some things that were part of the Barrett petition, which redefined our
Right.
role a little
That's
bit.
true.
or I shouldn't say the ballot, the Central School Restoration
restoration.
petition,
Okay.
right? But you know, I'm starting to feel a little uneasy about it all.
I
you
have
know?
been uneasy since the vote.
Right.
I don't know. It's my age, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like, and then also, how do you control smells? How do you control smells? You know, okay, you have no smoking in a unit, but if you're in a high rise or you're in a multiple, you know, one of those brick buildings, it goes through walls.
Oh,
It
yeah.
goes through in the
Yeah.
hallways. I mean, and if it's legal, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think I know they can't really speak too openly about it, but I think the police department is a little concerned about
Oh,
some
about-
of the spillover effect. It's not.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I mean, everybody acknowledges that if people are buying pot, they're buying pot. So how do you
Right.
buy it? But you know, there are certain scenarios that I think probably should at least be considered. Like, for example, this ain't the cheap stuff. You know,
Well, that's
this
the other
this
thing.
is
You're
the
not
boutique pot places.
right, and a lot of people want the edibles because that way you don't have to
Right.
worry about smoke and all that.
Right.
You know,
But the thing is so if somebody comes in there and they got a pocket full of cash, does
which
that
you
mean,
only can do now.
No,
because,
you can. Apparently,
Yeah.
you can do debit cards, but you have to put cash on a debit card specifically for the purpose. I'm not 100% sure.
Well,
about it.
I know actually the Attorney General is trying to change. Somebody's
there may
trying to
be-
change with the banks right
there
now,
may be
and
some
it's also
changes.
federally. It's
And
illegal.
there are some issues of conflict with
it's
federal
just
laws.
so
that's why.
crazy,
But the thing is that if
Yeah.
you've got patrons
Yeah.
coming there wanting to purchase this
and they're
stuff,
not going to just be from Cambridge.
Right.
Although Boston
but,
has.
But
places
will
open.
some guy walk up and say, hey, I can get it for you half price. Come around to my car around the back lot here.
Well, that's the other thing.
Will
I've
it
heard
be
I've heard that the prices are still cheaper on the what you call the black market.
And
so
yeah,
people,
and that's
it's just not going to
Right.
get
so,
all these revenues for these cities and towns that they expect.
Yeah.
It's like Airbnb. Where's all the money? No, sorry, it's not there.
There's a part of me
Yeah.
kind of cynically thinks that maybe the reason the city councilors are trying to rush it all through is because they just see the dollar signs of potential revenue.
Yeah.
And I said, but there's also, how do you shape a retail district? And I don't think you want to put out the restaurant. Well, we have a lot of restaurants.
Let's open up a gambling thing then too, because we'll have gambling,
that's coming.
cannabis.
Yeah.
I'm just doing the encore. I just feel like that's where it's going.
Yeah,
People,
well,
What? Meanwhile, we've got Squirrel Brands, whatever it is, making. All right, candy's not the best thing, but at least it's manufacturing.
yeah.
It's making a product that
pot and munchies.
quietly is
Right.
what you need for pot.
I guess, right. So
It
who
all
knows?
comes full circle.
We'll see.
All right.
Actually, a bigger concern, I think,
Okay.
is that if somebody's eating edibles, but they're
Oh my
not
God,
really
leaving
well
a-
schooled in what the potencies are,
Yes.
and then they just go in, they go into the clubs. Next thing you know,
Yeah.
people in the Middle East have people who are unconscious
Oy.
because they
And-
didn't
and
know
they
that
don't know
just,
how to- right.
they just took 7 times the dose. Because
Although
they didn't
supposedly
know.
the people selling this stuff are pretty clear and
They-
educated about it, but once you get it, and how about if you leave it at home around and
Yeah, I know.
and your kid gets a hold of it?
Anyway,
And it looks
there
like
are
candy.
There are issues.
It
Yeah. By the way, I think
oh.
it's probably worth mentioning other thing related to elections, which has relatively little to do with marijuana, I don't think.
maybe.
All right. Okay, so here's the thing there was multiple things. Certainly there was a committee report on the city council agenda last night about a potential home rule petition to permit 16-year-old
Oh, right.
voting in municipal elections.
Right.
Right? I mean, we've probably addressed this
Somerville, I
in the
think,
past.
already passed
They've
it or
passed a home
something.
rule
Yeah.
petition. What the legislature
Yeah.
does with this, who
Yeah.
knows?
Right.
Some people are claiming that the legislature is at least warming to the notion about allowing this as a statewide option.
Oh dear.
I
Here we
don't,
go.
I don't know that I'm.
It'll be a referendum.
I personally haven't seen that action. I think
Yeah.
sometimes people are a little optimistic about they say because I want something, therefore the state legislature must want it too.
Yeah.
That kind of projection doesn't really get you anywhere.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that goes. But a much more interesting thing beyond 16-year-old voting, at least to me, interesting. 16-year-old voting, home rule petition. I think they've kind of largely given up on some of the proposals for early voting for municipal
Oh,
elections
right. Yeah.
in favor of
No
the
ex-
better no excuse
Right.
absentee
You don't need.
voting.
Yes, that makes so much more sense.
Right, and I think the election commission
Yeah.
is a lot. They were pretty clear how they thought that would be really the better way to handle these
Yes.
things. But tomorrow at 5:30, I believe it's at 5:30, the election commission is having a public
Really?
hearing on
I didn't see that on the list.
Yeah, we know it's there. It's there.
On maybe your list, but not on the city's list, is it?
Maybe they don't push it out as
Yeah.
well as I do.
Okay.
But the thing is that there's a proposal to limit the number of rankings for
Oh,
municipal
that
elections
came up
to
in
no
public
less than
comment and stuff.
15.
Yeah.
Well, what happened, I
Yeah.
think if I
Can
can
you
piece
explain
together
that?
the
Yeah.
chronology is,
All right.
I mean, I know about this only because it's something I've suggested and
Okay.
I've done some of the research behind it
Yeah.
to sort of see that it's in fact, first off, there's no need for any legislation to make the change to
Okay.
limit the number of rankings to 15 because it's in the 1938 law that established the Planning Charter. The people who wrote it or pushed it back many years ago seemed to understand that this wasn't such a bad thing and maybe
So
it
you're
would be
saying if
necessary.
you could have 22 names, but you only go up to 15. Is that what you're
You
saying?
can rank up to 15.
15.
Now let's be clear.
Yeah.
Very few voters ever rank more than 10.
Then-
In fact, most
right.
rank very
Like,
rarely
then-
rank more than about 7.
Right. They just go for
But there
yeah.
are a few who will, basically
very-
run the
yeah.
whole list, right? But I actually did the simulations and
Yeah.
showed that in fact it's
Makes
not a
no
matter that
yeah.
that it wouldn't affect the people who are elected. It wouldn't affect any of the counts in any round
Yeah.
unless it happened to be one of those elections like 2017 where 2 candidates never actually reached the election quota. And as a result, in the very last round, after everybody was already elected,
Their votes.
they get these what I call slop votes. They're the ones where they're just counting them out, going exhausted.
Yeah.
But then if you find like a number 24 for somebody who's hasn't yet reached quota, then you give this incredibly low ranked ballot too, which is not really
Yeah.
a measure of
But it wouldn't change the
support.
results, is what you're saying.
It doesn't change anything. It really doesn't.
So you don't really need beyond.
And
that.
it makes for an incredibly simpler ballot to
Yeah.
view visually.
Yeah.
It also allows the election commission, if you have more than, let's say, 26 candidates, and I don't know that we're going to have that many this year, but it could happen. But if we had a lot of candidates, we've always done it in landscape format because you need to put in a lot of
Right.
bubbles
To have.
to make that many
Yes.
rankings. But if you didn't have to put so many, if you could only put
Yeah.
15,
Yeah.
you also have to put the address of the candidate and
Right.
candidate for
Right.
re-election. There's a
Right,
lot of
right, right.
information. So they would have to do it this way. But if you could turn it into portrait format, then and you didn't have to put in more than 15 bubbles there,
Yeah.
you could do the information. You have a longer ballot. You could get everybody's name on very comfortably. It just
Yeah.
works better.
So what's the argument against it?
I think it's
Is there-
largely based on misunderstanding.
Yeah.
There's,
else is
there's the
there, right?
usual red herring that, you're going to be limiting voter choice, so it's some form of
How is that
disenfranchisement.
limiting voter choice?
It isn't
Oh my
limiting.
God.
In every election system, pretty much everywhere, you're not allowed more than
We're
one
lucky we even
or
have
several.
the kind of voting we have.
Well,
Most places you have the one.
That's right. Or in an at-large election, well, typically for at-large elections, you have some district councilors plus, let's say, 4 at-large. So you're allowed to vote for up to 4, but you don't rank
That's
them.
Boston.
Right. So, at the most you'd ever get would be like 4 rankings. If you were to do something
Right.
akin to that for our at-large city council election, then a voter would be allowed 9 choices. We're letting you have 15.
Yeah, I just.
Right.
So can this just hopefully not
well,
be
the-
argued against, or?
The thing is that I think it's just a matter of public relations. The election commission has the authority.
They can do
period,
it.
and they can just do it, and they don't need city council
You know
approval
what? If you're
or
listening, just do
anything else.
it. Really.
Right, and I think they kind of
crazy.
understand this,
Yeah.
the importance. If you're going to make a
Yeah.
decision like that, do it before you have 28 candidates, because then if you do it after the fact, people will say, "Well, what's
Oh,
going
look,
on
you did
here?"
that. Right. So just.
Right,
Make
I think
that
it's just a good
decision.
idea.
Yeah.
But there was a letter sent to the Chronicle and other places, including to me, from former city councilor, former mayor Alice Wolf, former state representative Alice Wolf, where she tries to make the case that somehow you're trampling on, voter rights or whatever, which is
Wow.
just not true. And
Yeah.
I love Alice to death, but
Yeah.
she's just not right about this.
Yeah.
And I think she and others who don't understand this, they just need to find out a little bit more about it, and I think reasonable people will then go, oh, that's okay.
So explain to me. So in the past elections, there's been a lot more bubbles, even though the charter says 15.
What we have always done, because
Yeah.
it's more reflective of the way it was done when we had paper ballots, where you
Right.
could rank all the candidates if you wished. So if there were,
Okay.
If there were 81 candidates,
Oh my
you could
gosh.
rank them 1 through 81.
Jeez.
But the thing is when we went to the mark sense ballots
Yeah.
and the scanners and the computerized elections, fortunately we
Yeah.
didn't have so many candidates, but we have come close to the point where the ability to fit the names on the ballot would be very compromised.
So what happened the last time? Because there were a lot.
We had just few enough candidates that we could squeeze
Wow.
them in. And the Secretary of State,
Yeah.
and I disagree with him on this,
Yeah.
Secretary of State insists there also be 9 lines for write-ins
9.
because there are 9 seats.
Oh, boy.
Nobody ever fills in more than 1 or 2 unless
Jeez.
they're just doing it as a joke
So
ballot.
you have to have the 9 lines.
Only because the Secretary of State says
Can't
so.
they be really thin
I
lines?
would love to sit down with Bill Galvin sometime and explain to him why, in fact, it is an absurdity to require that.
Well,
But it is. He's there. Ultimately, the Secretary of State has to approve it. So,
yeah.
so that's what we do. So if you have 26 candidates plus 9,
Yeah.
you do the math. You need 35 lines, and
Okay.
and it's kind of hard to do that unless you do it in portrait format. So.
So let me just.
So anyway, so they're meeting
so
tomorrow
where
at
is
the
this
Election
tomorrow?
Commission up at 51
Oh, I see it.
Inman.
5:30 at
5:30. Yeah, and
first floor meeting room 51 Inman.
right.
Okay.
Very few people usually come to Election Commission meetings,
Public comment,
but
yeah.
who knows? Maybe some people will come
Yeah.
to this and they won't even have room
Yeah.
for them.
Right.
I think I have to go just because I know a thing or two
So
about
51 Inman, that's the old. I mean, that's the one before
this. That's where the
the
human
McCusker
services
building.
programs
Yeah.
are. Yeah, it's the coffin.
So it's not a very
coffin
big
building? Yeah.
meeting room.
No, it's not a very big meeting room, and but we'll
So
see
you're
how
going
it
to go
goes.
to that? Okay,
Yeah,
good.
I'll go to that.
All right.
So anyway, so election-related things. So there are no new candidates that I've heard of. There is one new school committee candidate.
Oh, I haven't
Actually,
even
if
paid
you
attention to those.
Yeah, if you
All right,
go
where
click down to there's
where are we
actually
going?
you click the thing about the elections, right? Potential election right here, right there.
Here? Okay.
Yeah. So the only new candidate that I know of is actually a school committee candidate I've heard of today.
Well, I don't see it on here,
Aisha
though.
Wilson, 15 Concord
Oh, right here
Avenue.
you have it, yeah.
Right. So other than that, basically, it's just the
Hmm.
incumbents, and that's it. I'm sure there'll be other candidates before all is said and done.
1982,
So.
so she's 30-something,
Yeah.
6.
Anyway, we'll be back in a few minutes on Cambridge
Okay.
Inside Out.